Hello everyone, welcome back on Wandering Minds YouTube platform and a warm welcome to all new aspirants। प्यारे दोस्तों, मैं आप सभी का वंडरिंग माइंड्स के YouTube प्लेटफॉर्म पर स्वागत करता हूं। दोस्तों, जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं कि हमने हाल ही में अपने YouTube प्लेटफॉर्म पर एक रैपिड फायर सेशन सीरीज़ को स्टार्ट किया है, जिसका आज हम पार्ट 3 कंटिन्यू करेंगे। इससे पहले जो हमारे साथ न्यू एस्पिरेंट्स जुड़ रहे हैं, मैं उन्हें ये कहना चाहूँगा कि आप इससे पहले की जो हमारी 2 वीडियोज़ हैं, वो भी फुल कंसंट्रेशन के साथ एक बार देखें, क्योंकि बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स पीवाईक्यूज़ में क्वेश्चन फॉर्म में आपको दिख सकते हैं। इसके अलावा अपकमिंग एग्ज़ाम में भी आपको इन पॉइंट्स का पूरा बेनिफिट हो सकता है, और ये पॉइंट्स ना केवल यूजीसी नेट बल्कि इंग्लिश लिटरेचर के किसी भी कम्पिटिटिव एग्ज़ाम लाइक असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसरशिप और लेक्चरशिप में भी आपको बहुत यूज़फुल रहेंगे। इसके अलावा अगर आपको हमारी लेक्चर्स में बताया गया कंटेंट पसंद आए तो आप वीडियो को लाइक करें, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर करें और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें। और प्यारे साथियों, आप फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट डेली क्विज़ेस अटेम्प्ट करने के लिए आप वंडरिंग माइंड्स का टेलीग्राम ग्रुप भी ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, जिसका लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में अवेलेबल करवा दिया जाएगा। अब ज़्यादा समय न लेते हुए हम फर्स्ट स्लाइड की तरफ मूव ऑन करते हैं। नाउ our first and important point is on new criticism. New criticism considers text as autotelic, having an end or purpose in itself. Our next and important point, the Churchyard School of Poets means the poets who wrote poetry chiefly of melancholic strain and of the Reformation of the Church. Our next and third important point, that is on Robert Burns. Robert Burns has been called a plowman poet. Poets like Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, and P.B. Shelley were greatly influenced by him. Our next point, A.W. Pinero and Henry Arthur Jones popularized the problem play in the 80s and 90s centuries. Our next and most important point is on William Shakespeare, major dramatist of Elizabethan age. The point is, sexual jealousy and racial prejudice is the theme of William Shakespeare's tragedy Othello. Othello is regarded as a beast because he is black. Othello is a Blackmore in the play by William Shakespeare. Our next and most important point is on Lord Byron. Lord Byron's poem, The Vision of Judgment, is a satire directed against Robert Southey. Our next and important point about Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson Ulysses is a dramatic monologue and poem expressing the need for going forward and braving the struggle of life. Our next point is on John Berger's novel Big Earth. Big Earth gives the story of a Hungarian painter and imagery and his role in the consumer society. The novel is set in a small village in the French Alps. Our next important point on Indian writer Nayanthara Sehgal, polemic A Voice for Freedom, contain speeches and writings about India's during the period of emergency. Our next and important point, that is Jindi Vorobok, is a movement related to Australian literature. This is very important, dear learners. Jindi Vorobok is a movement related to Australian literature. The movement, named after a club, sought to promote native ideas, languages, and traditions in Australian literature. Our next and most important point on American writer Ernest Hemingway, his longest novel, For Whom the Bell Toll, describes the incident in the Spanish Civil War. Our next and important point is 12 Years a Slave is an 1853 memoir and slave narrative by American Solomon Northup. It is dedicated to Harriet Beecher Stowe. Our next and important point on Matthew Arnold poem Sohrab and Rostam. Dear learners, this question already came in June attempt which is cancelled recently. Matthew Arnold's poem Sohrab and Rostam is taken from Shama, an epic poem by the Persian poet Firdausi. Again, I repeat, this poem, Sohrab and Rustam, is taken from Shama, an epic poem by the Persian poet Firdausi. Our next and important point, Irving Babbitt, Paul Elmer Moore, and Norman Foerter started a reactionary movement against the excess of romantic individualism and realistic naturalism of the 1920s. The movement was called New Humanism. Our next and important point, in an 1817 review of S.T. Coleridge's Biographia Literaria, this is very important work by S.T. Coleridge, dear learners, Francis Jeffrey coined the term Lake School of Poets, grouping William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, and Robert Southey. Our next and important point, Ezra Pound, famous writer, described poetry as inspired mathematics. He translated Anglo-Saxon poem The Seafarer. Remember, dear learner, Ezra Pound translated Anglo-Saxon poem The Seafarer. Our next and important point regarding J.B. Shah's play The Philanderer abounds in humor and deals with the subject of marriage and its limitations. Our next and important point, in his novel Cactus Country, Manohar Malgaunkar writes the story from the point of view of a Pakistani captain placed in Bangladesh, that is East Pakistan. Our next and important point regarding Henry Fielding, famous novelist of British literature. His novel Joseph Andrews is a burlesque of Lawrence Stern's novel The Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy. It is written in imitation of the manner of Cervantes. Our next point on Henry Fielding novel Jonathan Wilds is the biography of the famous thief and thief taker who was hanged at Newgate. Newgate is one of the historic seven gates of the London Wall around the city of London. Remember, dear learner, remember, dear friends, in Henry Fielding novels, we will always read about Newgate prison in Mole Flanders also, and in other novels of Fielding's you can read. The last and but not the least is that Julian of Norwich is the first known woman writer in the English vernacular. She is famous for her theological book Revelations of Divine Love. Now thank for watching dear learners and don't forget to subscribe the channel. I hope all of you get benefit of these points and please join Telegram group where all of you get free of cost daily 9 p.m. quizzes. Questions are relevant for exam point of view. Thank you dear learners.